Be'ezrat Hashem, we start. Yes, we are Perek Kaf Aleph, Pasuk Kaf Het. Pasuk Kaf Het. Ed Kezavim Yoved. Somebody that witness that is a witness of sheker of the deception of lies. Yoved will be doomed. Ve'ish shomea, but whoever listens, la netzach yedaber will speak forever. Says the Gaon. This is a yesod we've learned in Perek Yutet, that whoever is a witness of is testifying sheker, yes, and we've spoken about it, and we've spoken about the dayanim that dan din emet, but didn't sheker instead of the din emet, yes. So he says here, doesn't matter how much Torah, how many zechuyot he has, how much layers of protection he carries of his good deeds, Ye'abed. His end is to be doomed and to be completely erased. And he's based on the teachings of Yehezkel, that the Akadosh Baruch Hu will not take the zechuyot of a person, the merits of a person, right, into account when when he has to judge someone that testified for lying, because the concept of a ed, of a witness, yes, essentially it means that Hakadosh Baruch Hu puts someone in a position to see the truth, so that he can bring light to a situation and the truth can be seen by the judges. So the ed, the witness, is a shaliach of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu made him see and witness what he witnessed in order to be sent on the behalf of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the Dayanim, so that the Dayanim can know what is the emet. So when a person witnesses, comes and gives a witness of sheker, yes, good. So basically, he's using the sharbito shel melech. He's using the seal of approval of the king, kiviyachol, yes, and he's testifying lies. So he's lying, yes, using the authority of the king. For that, there's no pardon. Yes. The ish shomea, but if a person listens, says the Gaon, listens to Musar and to Tochecha, to rebuke, to discipline, La netzach yedaber. He will learn and teach his Torah forever. Meaning what? His Torah will be mitkayemet. He's not going to lose his Torah. He's not going to lose his learning because of fake testimonies. Yeah. So the Musar, says the Gaon, right? The rebuke and the Musar and the Tochacha allows a person to be sensitive enough and aware enough not to fall for the Yetzer Hara of false testimony. And by not falling in for false testimony, yes, this ensures the Kiyum Torah of that person forever. Another facet of understanding this pasuk, says the Gaon Mivina, is if not only the person listen, but he implements the Musar and the Tochacha. right? Not only he listens and he learns, but he practically implements it. That's shomer, that's what shomer means. And the reward for implementing, yes, musar and tochacha is lanetzach yedaber. Dehainu, he says lanetzach yedaber, that he will speak, can lanetzach forever. What does it mean forever? That he will not be limited to the boundaries of his own circle. His words will transcend time and will transcend space, and he will be a manhig. He will be a leader. His words will lead people. Okay, that is the beracha, and that is the reward of somebody that listens and implements Musar. That his words are accepted and valued and cherished by others. So he becomes a manhig. Yes, he becomes a leader. So here we see that a trait that is critical for leadership is what? Yes? על זה נאמר ברוך אומר ועושה, somebody that can listen to Musar and actually implement it and do it. That is a quality that builds a manhig, that builds a leader. Good? פסוק כ"ט. העז איש רשע בפניו. כן? The Rasha has azut, has arrogance, yes, in his face. V'yashar hu yavin darko. But somebody that is straight, yes, knows how to find his ways. He knows how to discern, to make a differentiation and discern his ways, his paths. Says the Rasha, says the Gaon, the Rasha, can part of his reshut, part of his wickedness, yes, is that he has azut panim. Yes, he has arrogance, and he's not shy to behave the way he wants, the way he behaves next to people. And he has no busha. He doesn't have. He's not shy. And when a person does that with people, says the Gaon, eventually he does that with Hakadosh Baruch Hu also. Okay? He has also azut panim with Hashem and will do averot, even though he knows that Hakadosh Baruch Hu, yes, sees. Hakadosh Baruch Hu listens. Okay? So the azut panim, the arrogance, the this behavior by default is what? It means I don't care about anybody and I only care about myself and I'm proud of who I am. Okay? Even it defies morality or emunah. So at that point, he's not sure of any averot, right? Nothing. And says the Gaon, the azut panim, the arrogance comes with ego. It's because the person has ego that he becomes arrogant. These are the two roots of the averot, yes, that the Kohen Gadol would do kapara on by wearing the mitznefet, the turban on his head, and the tzitz. You know, he had like the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kodesh Lashem, yes, and he used to wear a turban. These two clothes that the Kohen Gadol would wear was coming to do a kapara for the Ga'ava, for the ego, and the Azut Panim, and the arrogance. So says Shlomo HaMelech, okay, the Reshaim, they carry their arrogance and their ego on their face. You see it in their behavior, you see it in their body language, you see it in their aura. However, V'yashar hu yavin darko. But somebody that is yashar, right? Somebody that is straight, somebody that has humility and goes in the straight path, will find his ways. Okay? Why? Because his tzniut, his humility, allow him to be open, yes, to information, open to guidance, open to help. So even if he's in the dark, yes, the fact that he can tap into all these resources gives him the ability to find his true path. Okay? So the Rasha is completely blocked, yes, and disconnected from any possible access to wisdom and help. But that Sanua, yes, the Sanua, by default, his tzniut, his humility, binds him, right, to the access of resources of Chokhmah, Musar, and Yirat Shamayim. Good? Pasuk Lamed. En Chokhmah, there is no wisdom, ve'en tevuna, there's no discernment, ve'en etzah, and there is no advice, leneged Hashem, that can go, like, that can win the will of Hashem. Meaning, there's nothing you can do when HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides something. You cannot outsmart the system, kivyachol. So says Shlomo like this, En Chokhmah, that's Chokhmah, we know it's wisdom. Tevuna, we know what Tevuna is, right? Is there, like we've said it many, many times, is the ability to control and grasp the information the way it is presented to you without you distorting that information. And the Tevuna sits between the Chokhmah and the Bina. Etzah, what is Etzah? What's the advice? Etzah, says the Gaon, is the Da'at, the application, the practical application of the Chokhmah and the Bina. That's the Etzah, that's the advice. So says the Shlomo HaMelech like this, even if a person, right, has the name Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at, he has it all. Says Shlomo HaMelech, it's nothing can compare to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when you want to use this against Hashem, when those kochot are applied against the will of Hashem. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want something, or when when you do something against the will of Hashem, none of these kochot will help you. Like we say, v'gam lo lachachamim lechem. You don't find bread specifically by the chachamim, meaning you have people that are very chachamim, they cannot bring parnasah to the table. Another bi'ur. If you see a chacham, yes, that behaves against the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even though he's a chacham, and the chokhmah, yes, should be respected. No. And chokhmah utvuna ve'etzah leneged Hashem. When you see somebody that has all these qualities and they go against Ratzon Hashem, you don't value these kochot. You cannot praise them, you cannot respect that. So essentially, what is Shlomo HaMelech coming to tell us? HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us, yes, tremendous uh, assets, tremendous kochot, yes, but those kochot are inexistent. They have no foot to stand on when they are used or applied against the Ratzon of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So it's only if you align all these kochot with the Ratzon Hashem that you empower those kochot to become kochot that really shine, yes, the Chochmat Hashem. And like the Ari HaKadosh says, again, Kulam bechokma asita, that the Pasuk says, David HaMelech says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, all of it with chokma, dehainu, through that chokma, hold on please, I'm looking. Yeah, so like I said, Kulam bechokma asita, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created mikoach, the sirah of the Abba, which is the chokma in the Adam Kadmon, the entire ishtashelut of all the olamot, all the way until the olam ha'asiyah, malchut sheba malchut. Okay? And through the chokhmah of the person that has yirat Hashem, that is connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the person now connects to the entire creation all the way until Adam Kadmon and benefits from the abundance of chokhmah directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now it gives power and value to that chokhmah because he's yonek, he gets the chokhmah from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But if the chokhmah and the binah and the tvuna and the da'at are neged Hashem, then it's sechel enoshi, like the Tiferet Israel says, sechel enoshi in a klum. It's nothing. Like human intellect is worthless and has no room for human existence. That's what the Maral Miprag writes. Okay? So, and that's what Shlomo Melech wants to highlight here. Okay? Don't rely on the fact that you have Chokhmah, Binah, Vadat if you're going to go against HaKadosh Baruch Hu or neged HaKadosh Baruch Hu, neged Hashem, because at the end, these are not kochot. They're empty. They're empty. Okay? Clear? I don't know. Pasuk Lamed Aleph. סוס מוכן, כן, ליום מלחמה. The horse is ready to go to war, for the day of war. ולהשם התשועה, yes, but the victory is in the hands of Hashem, is by Hashem. Says the Gaon at the time, okay, yes, the great warriors, we were not the ones that were on their feet, but we were the ones that were on their horse. The horse, yes, is the Gaon says that the horse in the Kitvei Yad, he's ubal milchama, he's built for war. He's a strong war asset for the warrior. Okay. So when you take a horse, your chances of defeating or the enemy and winning the war are greater than if you were on your own. So says Shlomo HaMelech, even though the horse is ready for the war, what does David HaMelech say? Sheker again, sheker asus l'tshua. Okay, the sus at the end. The sheker. If you think that it's the horse that will bring you the victory, you're lying to yourself. Elamai, the victory comes. The victory comes comes directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now the sus is coming to complete, yes, what we said in Pasuk Lamed. In Pasuk Lamed, ze mohin chokhmah bina v'da'at. Right? That's strategy, that's chokhmah, wisdom, analysis, practical application. That's lamed. This doesn't work, and it can negate Hashem. Maybe you're going to tell me, but if I have the right actions, I have the right tools, I have the right army, I have the right weapons, and that's what I need. No. The Teshua, Hashem, the Teshua, the victory comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Do not rely even on your actions. Okay? Again, and that's how Shlomo HaMelech completes this perek, to come and tell us that if you're not connected to Kucha Verichu, then you have zero connection to real outcome. It's all dimyon, it's all imagination and futilities. It's kochot, tools, yes, elements that are given to you that you don't use properly. And therefore you cannot see the real outcome. But only if your actions and your mohin are aligned with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, can you see the true Yeshua, the true bracha, and the true outcome that HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects and wants from you. ובזה בעזרת השם בסייעתא דשמיא, yes, we completed פרק כ"א. We're going to start כ"ב, פסוק א'. נבחר שם מעושר רב. A good name is a better choice than a lot of wealth. מכסף ומזהב חן טוב, and having grace, a good grace, and chen is better than silver and gold. It's as if when we say tov shem mishemen tov kivyachol. Says the Gaon, what's the difference between osher, wealth, and kesef v'zahav? The chalva is the same thing. Silver and gold is the same thing as wealth. What's the difference? He says no. Wealth is what can be identified by others and it's exposed. Dehainu, for example, yes, real estate, houses, horses, cars, things that are big, that cannot be hidden. That's called wealth. And so too is a name. A name is something that people hear from far, even they don't know the person, they heard of, they know of. So says Shlomo HaMelech, you're better off with a good name that is heard from far, even though people don't know you, than the impact of people knowing what you have when they walk around and say, wow, you know, this building is owned by this guy, this building is owned by this guy, you see this car is owned by this guy. And so too, says the Shlomo HaMelech, Kesef v'za'av, you can hide it, you put it in a safe. Yes? People don't know what you have in your safe. They don't know how many bars of gold or not or silver. This is between you and yourself. So it says that's also like the chen. The chen, if you don't know the person, if you don't see the person, you cannot see his chen. Right? It's impossible. If you don't have access to the safe, you don't know what's in it. So says Shlomo HaMelech, there are two kochot that a person needs to nurture and to build. On one end, okay, it's his Shem, his name. Build your name, because that's what goes very far. And build your hand, your grace, and that's how you're going to impact people on one-on-one. I have a note here that Rabbi David Elaluf, Shlita, Yizacher Letov, said that the hand, you build it by your avodah baseter. The more you work quietly and you do things, mitzvot, ma'asim tovim, in a quiet way, and the more that pnimiut, that tzniut, yes, starts shining around you as a norah that is defined as chen. The Shem is the Shem. You do actions, yes, you do actions. They're known, and malasot. People know your actions, but that's publicly. But what you do in a hidden way, Yes, they can be identified by the chen on the person. Yes, that's the yesod of that pasuk as an introduction to the perek kavbet be'ezrat Hashem. טוב, נעמוד כאן. So we just finished pasuk aleph of pasuk perek kavbet.